So it might be a good idea, given that, to try and get some orientation of where we are. Let's try and track back and retell the story of the sutra. So remember, the Buddha is in Shravasti. He's staying in the Jeta Grove in the garden of Anathapindika. He's dwelling with a great gathering of monks and bodhisattvas. And early in the morning he takes his bowl and goes to beg in Shravasti, and returns, and having eaten, washes his feet and sits upright, mindful and aware. People are around, or people are gathering to take darshan, to listen to the teaching, to ask questions maybe. And after a while the great disciple Subhuti comes along and joins the gathering. And then on bended knee, with his hands in the Anjali Mudra, the mudra of entreaty, he praises the Buddha for the great help and favour that he's given to the bodhisattvas. And out of that expression of wonder and gratitude, he asks the question, the great question, the really important question: how should bodhisattvas stand? How should they progress? How should they control their minds? And the Buddha is very pleased with Subhuti's praise. He says, yes, well said, sadhu, well done. You've said the right thing. I have helped people with the greatest help and the greatest favour, helped the bodhisattvas. No false modesty. And this is a good question to ask. And then he speaks. He speaks about the bodhisattvas developing bodhicitta, developing the desire to lead all possible forms of life to nirvana, and then realizing that no being at all has been led to nirvana. Then he moves on to the bodhisattva's practice of generosity. He characterizes, we saw that you can characterize the whole of a bodhisattva's life as a life of giving. But the Buddha points out that it's unsupported giving without a notion of a sign, and this kind of giving produces a measureless heap of merit. Then the Buddha moves on to a discussion about the Buddha himself, the ideal man for a bodhisattva, the being he aspires to become. And the Buddha asks Subhuti, we enter into a dialogue now, whether the Buddha can be seen through his marks. And the Buddha concludes at the end of this short dialogue, the Tathagata is to be seen from no marks as marks. Subhuti is deeply impressed by the teaching, so becomes concerned that such a wonderful teaching should be understood in the future. Will it be understood in the future? He starts worrying, he starts to feel concerned that in those dark days, in the last 500 years of the time of the Dharma, beings will they understand? And the Buddha's very strong, he's emphatic. There will be beings, bodhisattvas of good conduct, of wisdom, who will develop the one mind of serene faith on hearing the sutra, who will understand the sutra. These beings, these bodhisattvas, have planted roots of merit under hundreds of thousands of past Buddhas, and they are known they are Subhuti, by the Tathagata. And why? Because they have no perception of a self, a being, a person, and so on. They have no perception of dharmas, of things, of processes that make up beings. They have forsaken dharmas and no dharmas. They've transcended all ways of categorizing and ordering and labelling experience. And then there's a further dialogue about the Buddha, about his knowledge. Does the Tathagata know enlightenment? Can it be known? Can it be taught? Can it be demonstrated? The answer is no. There's no dharma, no thing that knows enlightenment and that teaches and demonstrates enlightenment. And why? Because the uncompounded gives birth to, exalts, empowers, makes glorious the enlightened persons. So then there's a discussion of merit, the merit gained from teaching. Just a few stanzas of this teaching is immeasurable. It far outweighs the merit gained from elaborate worship of the Buddhas. And why? Because the Buddhas arise from this teaching, and the Buddha's special qualities arise from this teachings, but the Buddha's special qualities are not his own and special qualities. That's why they are his own and special qualities. So we're really in a rarefied sphere here.